Once, in the foggy countryside of England, there stood an ancient mansion known as Blackwood Manor. The house had been abandoned for over a century, its once grand halls now echoing with silence. Many believed it to be haunted, but no one dared to go near it, until one fateful night. A young man named Edward, tall and handsome, with an air of curiosity, decided to explore the mansion with his two close friends, Henry and William. The trio had always been thrill-seekers, and the rumors of the haunted Blackwood Manor intrigued them. As they entered the mansion, their footsteps creaked against the wooden floors. Moonlight filtered through broken windows, casting eerie shadows. Cobwebs hung from the chandeliers, and old portraits seemed to watch their every move. But the friends laughed off their unease, determined to prove that the stories were just myths. In the center of the grand hall stood a massive, dusty mirror. Its surface was tarnished, but something about it seemed to pull Edward closer. As he approached, he noticed his reflection didn't quite match his movements. He waved his hand. His reflection waved back a second too late. His heart pounded, but he told himself it was just his imagination. "Let's check upstairs," Edward said, brushing off the odd feeling. His friends agreed, and they climbed the creaky staircase. Each step groaned under their weight, as if the house was protesting their presence. Upstairs, they found a long hallway lined with closed doors. At the far end, one door was slightly ajar, as though someone had been expecting them. They exchanged uneasy glances but decided to investigate. Inside, the room was empty except for an old wooden chair facing a window. The moment Edward stepped inside, the door slammed shut behind them. The air grew thick, and the temperature dropped. Suddenly, a deep growl echoed from the hall. "What was that?" Henry whispered, his voice trembling. Before anyone could answer, the mirror in the grand hall downstairs shattered with a deafening crash. Edward's reflection, now more of a grotesque, twisted version of himself, emerged from the broken glass. It towered over them, its eyes glowing red, mouth twisted in a sinister grin. Panicked, they tried to open the door, but it wouldn't budge. The creature advanced, its footsteps heavy and deliberate. William grabbed a nearby candlestick and swung it at the figure, but it passed through the creature as if it were made of smoke. "We need to get out," Edward shouted. Suddenly, the door flew open, and they ran, the monster close behind. As they reached the entrance, Edward turned to face it, determined to protect his friends. But just as the creature lunged at him, it vanished, disappearing into thin air. Breathless and shaken, the trio stood outside the manor, staring at the once silent house. Did we just imagine that?" William asked, his voice barely above a whisper. But Edward, his eyes still fixed on the house, didn't respond, because as the fog swirled around,